With officials across the globe warning that the ongoing raids may be forcing other ISIS cells into action, one high-ranking U.S. intel official is now warning that many of our European partners are overwhelmed when it comes to their ability to prevent future attacks. Texas Republican Michael McCaul is chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee and author of Failures of Imagination, the Deadliest Threats to Our Homeland and How to Thwart Them. Chairman, what do you make of the latest threats? We see this report this week that ISIS has deployed 400 of its fighters throughout Europe. Does Europe have the ability to fight this?
I think Europe is overwhelmed. I think at Belgium, in particular, I was there after or just before the Paris attacks, met with counterterrorism officials. There are so many people on the radar screen that they cannot pay attention to all of them. And it's not only Belgium, but it's France, Germany, and the UK. When you talk about the number of foreign fighters, and these are foreign fighters trained in Syria as military soldiers that came back into the region, we have 40,000 that have been trained, 5,000 have come back into Europe, and hundreds into the United States. And I think that's the biggest concern with respect to Europe, though, is that they're just overwhelmed with the number of foreign fighters and plots and cells. Remember, the mastermind of the Paris attack claimed he brought in 90 people, 90 foreign fighters with him to conduct terror attacks.
Chairman, you said that you believe that these attacks in Brussels were accelerated because of the arrest of the terror suspect in Paris. Are you working under the assumption now that other plots have been rushed and moved forward?
Well, I think so. I think the arrest in Paris today of an advanced terror plot was a major victory for France. However, I do think with the arrest of the 10th Paris attacker that was just 4 days before the Brussels attack, that when they saw that and there was some information he was cooperating, that accelerated them into action, and the cells became operational at that point. And I think that's why you saw it happen so quickly. As was reported, I think there's another plot where they're looking at breaking into a nuclear facility.
Something you know a lot about, you wrote about in your book.
Well, in my book, I talk about the use of radioactive material being brought across in the Western Hemisphere, across the U.S.-Mexico border, and a dirty bomb explosion going off in the Houston shipping channel. These are all very real scenarios that we need to be on top of as policymakers.
Where are we, Chairman? People listening to this and watching this news unfold and these arrests made and, of course, these deadly terrorist attacks that played out in Brussels, and Americans are wondering, is it coming here? What is your best assessment at where we are in this fight and our vulnerability here on U.S. soil?
Well, I think the threat is far greater in Europe than it is in the United States because of the number of foreign fighters is 5,000 as opposed to a couple of hundred. But, you don't know what you don't know. What we do know is that there are individuals, ISIS members in Syria, talking to individuals in the United States. And part of the problem, Sandra, is we can't see the communications because it's done in encryption. And if you can't see what they're saying, it's really hard to stop it. I think this is one of the greatest challenges to the Homeland and to FBI as they try to close in on these suspects in the United States.
And this has been one of your big things, the encryption. We're operating in these dark spaces. You talk about this a lot. Did these terrorists work under those conditions?
Well, we know that in the Paris attacks, they used an app called Telegram, which was end-to-end encryption, and we couldn't see that. People say, why didn't you see Paris coming? It's because we couldn't see the communications. And I would not be surprised, given the connectivity between the cells in Paris and the cells in Belgium and in Brussels, I would assume that they were using the same dark space encrypted communications.
Okay. Chairman McCaul, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sandra.